Hello, everyone. Thank you for attending. My name's Arkady Fridman, Business Development Manager for PayPal's Financial Innovations team. And today, along with Mike Bausch, Vice President of e-Business for Discover Card, we're going to talk to you guys about universal card acceptance through the PayPal X network. The agenda for today's discussion is fairly short. I'll talk about extending the reach of card instruments, leveraging the PayPal X platform, and Mike will talk to you about why P2P with PayPal. So to get us started, let's talk about the different types of payment instruments that are out there and kind of what we refer to as the payments transformation. You know, we started off using coins and eventually progressed to cash and then checks and then cards. And all four payment instruments are still very heavily used today. As well, there's a global interest in making more and more payments purely electronic. And for an electronic payment system to succeed, there really needs to have four key characteristics. One, it needs to be secure. You need to keep fraud out of the system, make it safe for people to transact. It needs to be ubiquitous. It needs to be available where consumers and businesses send and receive money. It needs to be easy to use. You know, at PayPal, we often talk about removing the friction from the payment experience. Absolutely key. And it needs to be familiar. People need to be familiar with the payment instrument that they use. Through a lot of our studies, we've learned that once an individual adopts a particular types of payment instrument, typically it's very difficult to actually get them to switch. So let's talk about some of these different payment instruments. Coins and cash. Now, carrying around bags of money is simply not practical, and quite frankly, it's a bit dangerous. So we have these wonderful concept of ATM machines, where you can walk up, insert your card, and access your funds in your checking account or your savings account, or even access funds through from your credit card. The problem with ATMs is that they're not really readily available. They're not available every time a consumer may need to access their cash. Now, we've tried to solve that problem a little bit by creating these mobile ATM machines, which I think are quite interesting, but they still have the exact same problem. They're not always available when the consumer needs to get access to them. And then there are checks. Now, here's a pictorial for you guys, kind of a check processing facility and some of the transformations that a check processing facility has gone through. For those of you who have, by the way, has anybody visited a check processing facility in this room? Fantastic. It's scary how much time or how much space, machinery, capital, and quite frankly, human power that these things waste. You know, they started off in these plants to be, very manual in nature, and over the years, as technology has advanced, we've certainly made the systems a bit more scalable. But nevertheless, they're inefficient, and they're still very costly to maintain. Recently, there have been some improvements in check processing, especially around RDC, where now we're essentially created kind of a half paper, half electronic transaction by capturing an image of a check and then processing in a more electronic fashion. But still, the cost of processing checks is very high. And then there are cards. Now, cards are very familiar. All of us have a card in our wallet. And it's very easy for us to pick up the phone, give our credit card number to a clerk on the other side, and be able to have that clerk process an order. But to have a card accepted in the physical world, you typically need some type of card-accepted device. And these types of devices range from your very sophisticated point-of-sale machines all the way down to individual attachments to your smartphone. Now, the interesting thing is, even with the individual attachments to the smartphone, most individuals or non-businesses really cannot accept a credit card payment. And in fact, even to be able to have one of these machines, the underwriting process that is often required is very complex. In fact, PayPal actually built our entire business by essentially underwriting these small mom-and-pop merchants who really receive less than $25,000 or so a year in annual sales. And as a result, we've been able to add billions of dollars of transaction volume to card issuers and other financial institutions that that either occurred over cash were done by check or by money order or simply didn't happen at all. But again, these cards and these devices are not accepted or not available to everyone. But so today, with the leveraging of the PayPal X platform, we can now allow a card issuer to be accepted at essentially any email address or mobile number, therefore enabling a card issuer or a card to be used for use case that wasn't previously available before, such as at garage sales, sending money to friends and family, your dog sitter, a street market, a gardener, a cash gift, or even sending money to your son in school. So on that note, I'd like to introduce Mike Bosch from Discover Card, who's going to tell us about our latest partnership.
Thanks, Arkady. Very nice of you. I think Arkady and I are going to head over to a local check processing facility a little later and give a pep talk to the people that work there about that, so you're all welcome to come if you'd like to. I will begin first and foremost by just showing you a brief demo of what it is, and then I can tell you a little bit more about it afterwards. So if you'll just indulge me for a second here. I was told not to, whoops. I was told not to stand too close to the mic, so we'll see. Can we go all the way back? Let's try this. So it's called Money Messenger. It's basically an extension of the PayPal API that's integrated into our account center. So it's for a desktop browser or the mobile browser. And our customers access their accounts using a mobile app, which we'll integrate it into. Got the requisite Powered by PayPal logo. You can choose from your address book. And it's exactly what you'd think. It's a pretty simple, straightforward interface. You select the amount, choose the transaction type, you can put in a note. Some of you may be familiar with the current campaign that's a media campaign. It's on television commercials. You may have seen Peggy, the USA Prime Credit customer service rep. And there he is.
Oh, someone sent money to Peggy phone. I always answer that one. Hello? Hello?
Now, Peggy means well, but he's not exactly that bright. But the bottom line is basically he'll get the money on his mobile phone. Same interface as you would if you were sending it from the PayPal app. We've also been able to integrate it into the desktop experience. So millions of customers log online every month, check their balances and their Discover transactions. And the PayPal transactions are integrated into their statement, and you get real-time updates, status updates. You can tell whether the transaction has been received, whether the cash has been withdrawn, and you basically get delivery confirmation and all the rich detail that is associated with the transaction. So it's pretty straightforward. That's what it is. There's not a whole lot more magic to it on the surface. We intentionally tried to keep it easy to use. And let's see if we're able to keep this as easy to use. There we go. All right. So I will F5. See? There you go. I don't think I've ever used an F key on a Macintosh. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how it works. You know, I was trying to think of what would be interesting to talk about, and I basically came up with what you might be curious about. Discover's a credit card company. Why this? Why now? And why would we partner with PayPal on this? So let's answer those questions right away. Well, first, why P2P? This is pretty straightforward for us. We have a company mission to help people spend smarter, save more money, and manage their debt wisely. And this is our philosophy. And we've got years of research around how to make this happen for people. And one of the core insights that we have at our company is that customers want to know where their money goes. And they keep their business with us because we develop tools that illustrate where their spend goes. So we've developed some integrated statement capabilities that show graphically where people are spending, and we lay it out on their statement in a way that's very clear and very interactive. And we've taken it a step further. Now, these are not new. These have been part of the Discover experience for years. But we were one of the first companies to integrate this spend analyzer type of concept into the online experience. But we were, and we may be one of the only companies that literally spells out for a customer how to pay down their balance. We import their transactions, we import their rates and fees and so forth, and basically write them an ongoing pay down amortization schedule for their balance. Or when somebody already has a balance, we can help them do some what-if scenarios using something called a purchase planner, which helps them integrate purchases into their account, and it really helped manage their spend. So back to that core insight of people want to see where their money goes. And what we've found, what customers have found, and what they tell us is that there's this term called the latte effect, but basically it is that people are very surprised at how much they spend on things and this spend creep that occurs. And they're very grateful for us showing this to them, and they reward us with their business and their loyalty, but overwhelmingly they want to put more spend into a vehicle that shows where it's all going. So we get the loyalty of the customer when we show them where their money is being spent, and we provide them with the tools to do so. Universally, and our business model is built on providing rewards, one of the first companies to really provide rewards for spending. And so this is important to our customers. They want to earn rewards on all of their purchases. They want cash rewards, and that is where our business model sits. It's the number one redemption preference, and it's the number one earn preference on credit cards. And we are the best known for cash rewards. We pioneered the concept. There are a lot of copycats. It's flattering to have lots of cashback cards out there. But overwhelmingly, our customers want to figure out a way to put more of their spend into this vehicle so that they can earn more rewards for it. So they want one easy-to-use tool that they can pay for everything, wherever and whenever. And I'm a big fan of online commerce. I do think that there's a lot of wisdom in online commerce and where we're going with it. But the reality is, people still need to buy gas at the pump. They still need to pay the server at the restaurant. They still need to buy a washing machine with the same payment vehicle that they buy clothing that they want to try on. And so there's a variety of things that people want to do with payments, and it just, quite frankly, right now can't all be done online. So we need an offline tool that works well online also, that's easy to use wherever and whenever. Online spending is growing. We all know this. That's why we're here. That's why we're big fans of PayPal. Online commerce, definitely going to continue to grow, the magic of the internet. But we have to remind ourselves that most people buy most of the stuff that they buy not online. And it's going to be a long time before this balance even tips, to say half, I think. So most spend experiences aren't browser enabled. And we already cover both. Discover is already accepted at millions of online merchant locations, and we're already accepted at millions of offline direct-to-consumer locations, POS locations. The one thing that we haven't been able to capture for customers, and the one thing that we haven't been able to consolidate into those tools, is cash. And so, we know Arkadi's a big fan of checks and cash, as am I. I think that there's a great opportunity for customers to see where they're spending, where the leakage in their budget and their spend plan is coming by moving the cash onto the online tool, and this helps us get one step closer. So it allows us to capture that cash spend, track it, show customers where it is, and they earn rewards on every transaction. One of the features of this product, by the way, that I didn't make clear in the announcement, is that there's no cost to the customer for this. So these rewards are basically taking spend that is in the wallet occurring now with cash and checks, and it's consolidating it onto the Discover card. The person earns the same cashback bonus, but they don't pay a fee. The customer doesn't pay a fee to use this. This is built into the credit card, built into the account. So, it's a bit of a no-brainer if you have transactions that you can move onto this vehicle, because you'll start earning rewards on your spend that you're not earning on today. So that's kind of in a nutshell why we went with why P2P and why now. The next question was, well, why PayPal? Well, PayPal, there are a lot of providers of P2P solutions for banks out there. But PayPal is clearly by far, and I think you all know this by being here, has got the largest scale, it's got the largest network effects going, and it's a recognized name. And it was very important for us to find something that was easy to use for our card members, that was familiar enough that we weren't teaching them a whole lot of new things. And PayPal is a familiar brand. People understand it. There are multiple withdrawal options. The API was terrific to integrate with. The PayPal team was fantastic. And the state-of-the-art risk management, fraud management, compliance, policies and procedures, and the models that are in play really seemed, in our evaluation, to be unsurpassed in the industry. One of the things that we wanted to do, though, was we wanted to make sure that people understood that they were able to get the same protections with this product as they do with credit cards, because people are, as much as we like to talk about lots of different payment vehicles, some of the reason why people use credit cards is because there's built-in fraud protection, there's liability protection, there's the ability to charge back and dispute things, and the bank has to intermediate on those disputes. And so there's a convenience factor that's built in that provides value that we had to preserve in this P2P situation. And so it was very important for us to develop that into the product, and PayPal worked with us to make the best possible user experience on that. So that was kind of important. We also wanted a product, quite frankly, that wasn't built on a model where it charged customers fees for things. So we wanted to be able to deliver the rewards, but we didn't want to sock the customer with more fees. So this was the best solution for us. So in summary, we've got a POS solution with an online option. It does pay person-to-person payments. It provides rewards. It's got card protection, and it's simple to use. And that's the Money Messenger in a nutshell. So what's next? Well, why P2P we've got, why PayPal we've got, why now? Really, this is a great launch pad for the future. Discover has some unique assets. I'm speaking on behalf of the card issuing business when I describe this, but we also have a large signature debit network. If you do actually want to get cash out of an ATM, we own one of the country's largest ATM networks. And we own an international acceptance network, the Diners Club International Card. And so there are great possibilities for us, one can envision, for us to extend these assets and partner with PayPal, team up with PayPal on some other things. So it seemed like the right thing to do, given PayPal's unique assets and globalization of payments and commerce for PayPal, and our unique assets and globalization of payments and commerce for us. As you know, there's a lot of interest in mobile and payments. We are as interested in it. We have a growing international footprint. We are one of the nation's largest student lenders, and so there's a great extendability in each of these business lines. And that's basically it. Keep it short. We're getting late in the day. Be happy to answer questions. Arkady will come back up and join me. And I think they want you to have a mic.
I was just wondering, does the recipient of the new service require a PayPal account in order to get the money?
The recipient does, yes.
Okay.
The sender doesn't need a PayPal account. If the recipient has a PayPal account already, the API will figure that out and deliver it to the recipient. But if they don't, eventually there needs to be an endpoint for these things, and the endpoint is the PayPal network. So you have to sign up to get a PayPal account to get it out. Now, I had heard this mentioned in a prior presentation, and I think it's very true. We think that a lot of the people that will use this, that this will appeal to, are online already, and there's a high likelihood that a lot of them already have a PayPal account. But it's very possible that we'll bring some new customers into PayPal, but that's how they get the money out. Okay, should I just point? Okay. Well, that seems like a planted question, but that's a very valuable one. So these transactions, they post as purchases. And a lot of times we talk about money transfer and ACH and bank-to-bank ACH, but back to that rewards thing, we wrestled with how to account for this on a customer statement. But this has a grace period, and it posts as a purchase. So it will show up in between the purchase to merchant A and merchant C, and it will be itemized there on your statement. You can pay in full and have no finance charges on it, but it is not a cash advance. It bills as a purchase. Does that answer the question? I was supposed to repeat the question. The question was, does it post as a cash advance?
Related question to that, how do you avoid merchants from misusing the service as a P2P transaction? How do you differentiate between P2P and a B2C transaction?
How do we differentiate the experience from P2P versus, say, typical merchant acceptance?
Yeah, a merchant would normally get charged for acceptance, but in this case, they could use this to collect money at a...
Well, you need to know the you need to know the recipient's phone number or email address, right? So we're not going to be suggesting that you use this to substitute for payments to Walmart.com or something like that. As a matter of fact, we're already accepted at Walmart.com, so we're not going to divert that transaction through PayPal. You need to choose how you want to designate the transaction in the interface, and we really think that this has the greatest legs with the customer experience as a P2P, as a friends and family transaction, and that's where it's cost-free. So you choose it when you go into the interface, and you can purchase goods or services for it. You can designate purchased goods or services for it. But when you do that, you cross over into PayPal territory. We don't bill you for that. But PayPal makes a market in transactions billed to merchants. So we think it's going to be more appealing for you to stick to the person-to-person side.
This might be a question for both of you from the PayPal side and Discover side. Being a merchant, how do we get protected by fraudulent transactions? Because if we are sending physical inventories out to the customers and then they come up and say they dispute the charge with a credit card company like Discover or Visa or MasterCard, we already send the product out to them. How do we get protected?
So the question was, in general, how does the merchant get protected from fraudulent transactions? I think it's two ways, right? How does the customer get protected from being tricked into sending money? And how does the merchant ensure that they get the payment? You want to take the PayPal side?
Sure. I think in general, all of the same risk capabilities and many of the processes that we have in place today do apply to this particular construct. Oh, sorry. Thank you. Actually, so a lot of the risk and fraud mitigation capabilities that we have today apply to this construct. And actually, what we actually see this type of partnership, as Mike mentioned, it's kind of a launch pad of the future. We actually see this as an opportunity to actually create a much safer ecosystem for all participants. So I think when you start leveraging a lot of the fraud protections that Discover Card has in place today, you couple that with a lot of the strong capabilities that PayPal has as well, and then you combine the two, you actually ultimately will end up in a much safer environment than if the two systems were independent.
Yeah, so with credit cards, there are buyer protections that are part of the products, and there's an investigation process. We follow all of the compliance and regulatory controls around Know Your Customer, and the person is a credit card, has a line of credit with us already. So the sender is covered from the fact that we've already done the investigations and we've boarded the person. When they choose to send the money to the recipient, we rely on the fact that they know who they're sending the money to. But again, one of the reasons why we liked going with PayPal is because they have such sophisticated models, such sophisticated anti-fraud, money laundering, anti-money laundering protections and models in place, and the ability for us to work through what's called a merchant dispute on the transaction. And if the money hasn't been withdrawn, put a hold on it. There are lots of things that PayPal does to manage risk on their side and make sure that these payments are going to the right place. And in large part, I do think what Arkady said is true, is that you get a better ecosystem combining the the risk management knowledge of both companies, together into one solution.
What happened to me in Las Vegas is I lost my credit card. Somebody went to, what is that, some Redbox?
Yep,
DVD
DVD
rentals.
place. Yep.
They bought the DVDs, and I happened to dispute. I got my money back. But I'm thinking, I also have another business. I'm thinking from the merchant standpoint, what happens to that merchant who's already given a physical DVD to that customer, and that was really a fraudulent charge? I didn't get a real answer for that. Is the merchant going to get paid?
Was it a Discover card?
It was. It was.
Okay. In high level, basically, the credit card industry manages to losses, right? So, people steal money from banks. This is why you have credit cards versus, say, debit cards, right? Quite frankly, there are more fraud protections and bank risk management procedures on credit side because the bank generally holds the risk on these things. So, without going into a lot of detail, and I don't know your exact situation, when a fraudulent transaction is made, there's an investigation process, and if the merchant did everything on, this is in general, this has nothing to do with PayPal or this situation, but I want to answer your question. If the merchant did everything right, then in general, I believe, the merchant gets paid. If the card was not present, if the merchant didn't get signature, there are lots of rules around this. Each network has their own rules. Basically, the merchant takes the risk on those things, right? So that's kind of the way electronic payments works. I can't comment on your individual situation, but I can tell you that nothing is going to change with this product with regards to how merchants are paid or people are paid, other than better risk and fraud models will be applied to the situation than are in place today. Okay.
Great. Hi, just to change gears for a second, ask a quick business question. You mentioned that this model of P2P is free to the consumer. No fees to the consumer.
No fees to the consumer.
No fees to the recipient, if that's a consumer also?
Correct.
And you also mentioned that you were going to, that these were going to show up as purchases within the Discover account. So you would also calculate your cashback bonus on that.
Right.
How is that a sustainable long-term business when that cashback bonus is coming
good,
from the
isn't it?
interchange? Good for the consumer.
It is good for the
go
consumer.
Do a bunch of
and
it.
you know,
yeah.
And when we meet consumer needs, generally we're rewarded with their loyalty, more business. This is built-in. This is a built-in feature, and it's one of the ways that we can grow wallet share on our product and our customer base. It's that simple. I have to say, this gentleman in the front in the red jacket has been patiently waiting. So can I answer your question next, please?
Kind of back to the thing with the dog walkers.
Am I going to regret this?
No. This is actually clarifying the last question, I think. I'm the dog walker. I charge $100 a month. I still get my $100 a month through the system.
Do you accept credit cards for payment, Mr.
No,
Dog Walker?
I like cash.
You like
I'm
cash.
an old school dog walker, you know. It's a low margin job.
And you're saying, how does this work?
Yeah. In other words, would I even want to consider this, or just tell people where the ATM is, go give me cash, and they'll get their dog back?
You know, that's a good question. Nice. That's good. Well, I'll tell you when I thought that this was, when for me, and Dan and Arkady, and we started talking, and I said, I'm not sure that people are going to necessarily get this. I need some use cases to boil this down. And we came back from dinner, and I had to pay my babysitter, and I was out of cash. And I thought, this is exactly what it is. My babysitter has a PayPal account. I don't even need to ask her. And I would love to just be able to not run out to an ATM, pay $2, $3 to withdraw the money that I put in there to go pay this person. I think Osama made this comment at the presentation, but I just don't carry cash anymore. And I understand that some people do, but I would prefer to electronify as much as possible. And I think that in those use cases where the consumer, the recipient, and the purchaser are willing to do that, that's where this will work. And maybe it's your dog walker, and maybe you just say, hey, I like it under the table and not electronified. I think it's going to be an interesting use case to see where this takes off.
I sort of had a question about, so this was mostly U.S. market, and you said you had the Diners Club for international. So is this going to be moving to international? And then second on that, nowadays in Europe they're requiring the smart chips and such. So is this sort of a step towards greasing it, the skids to make it easier in the international market by doing PayPal there rather than, the credit cards don't have the chips in them yet?
Versus chip and pin. So there were two questions. The first was, will this be extended to Diners Club? And secondly, is it a way to move around chip and pin, which is a card acceptance standard in other parts of the world? I mentioned Diners Club because I talked about I talked about our companies teaming up on these things as being a launch pad for future possibilities. There's no announcement on international Diners Club integration of this product. I do think that with chip and pin and so forth, it's not at all intended to replace the use of the card. It's intended to replace the use of cash, and so I think chip and pin and the security precautions that are in place, are there for a reason, and I think we're not going to do anything to go around those.
In the flow going through, does the recipient have the opportunity to accept or decline receiving of that payment? And how does that work?
There are some situations.
Arkady.
Yeah. There are some situations where the consumer has the ability to accept or deny payments, typically international cross-border transactions, or some transactions where it's a different holding currency in place. But I think when you're dealing with within a local market, the payment is completed to the recipient if that recipient has a PayPal account. However, the recipient is also empowered to instantly refund that payment if necessary.
And there's another PayPal differentiator, actually, is the money's available instantly, right away.
If I send Arkady $50 as my split on the dinner, and I stupidly check goods and services instead of friends and family, does it show up on his end with a fee charged to it?
Yes.
So I should just never check that on the button, right?
It's actually interesting. The honor system has on that particular product has actually worked quite well for us. So it seems very interesting. The senders are very upfront. They, if it's true a P2P transaction, then they mark it as P2P. If it is in fact for a service or goods, they mark it as service or goods. It's the honor system does work.
Does that affect the rights to dispute the charge?
In some cases, yes.
Oh, so if I'm sending you $50, I should always make it. If I'm sending you $50, I should always make it goods or services. Gives me a chance later to dispute it.
I may not want to accept payments from you that way.
Good. Couple more questions?
You mentioned in your slide showing all the different services to Discover. This is the entry product, and there are many other things that you guys agreed to do together other than P2P. Are you talking about any of those today?
I did not use those words.
My interpretation.
I think that we have a number of assets that would be useful in developing, alternative payments technologies. We're looking at a lot of technologies right now to help customers and merchants speed up transactions, become more secure. That was just kind of a high-level slide that says, we've got a lot of assets to play with here. Okay, good enough? All right, well, thank you very much. Appreciate your time.